Hi there, Addy. Today we are learning about symbols of inclusion and order of operations, and we're on page 54 if you're following along. And so this is going to be great. It's not too long, so you're going to love it. First of all, let's look at this. Based on this picture, I guess, I finally live like a princess. I do. Look, I'm a princess. Basically, I do all of these things. Well, I haven't mopped in a little while. I should probably do that. But I definitely do these other things. Well, maybe. Okay. You know what? I sometimes do these things. I'm a princess. Okay, let's move on. We are going to talk about, okay, we already talked about this. Remember, if you see something like this, what do you do first? And this is order of operations. So you have a 4 plus 3 here, and then you have a 3 times 2 here. You got to do the right thing first, or else you won't get the right answer. So order of operations, we do multiplications first. But it would have been better if they had included symbols of inclusion to make this a little bit more straightforward. Symbols of inclusion is the fancy name we give for these types of brackets. So it could be, it could be, well, I'll just show you here. We could have written this, okay? Those are parentheses, duh. There's also brackets. These are brackets, kind of like the brackets on your teeth, like for braces. Braces are actually these, I think. I don't know. Will you Google that and tell me if those are braces? Braces in math. And there's also a bar like this. So if you put a bar over this, that means you multiply that. Okay, so any of those things could have been included here, and it would make this problem a little easier to do. All right, so sometimes there are parentheses in a problem, and sometimes they include parentheses because they want you to do something first. So if there's a problem like this and they want you to actually do the addition first, you have to have parentheses around it because otherwise you would just do this multiplication problem first. But they don't want you to do that, right? They don't want you to do 2 times 3 first. They want you to do 3 plus 4. So if it's a non-standard order of operations, meaning they want you to add first before you multiply, then you put parentheses around the adding first. That way you know to do it first. Does that make sense? So you do the parentheses first, and then you do all the other stuff like multiplication, division, and then addition and subtraction. Okay, so here we go. Let's do some examples because this is the best way to learn math. If you have a problem like this, and this is like the problem on the top of page 55. Okay, so what you would do is you would do the parentheses first that are in the numerator. Oh, poop. You do the parentheses first that are in the numerator and all the parentheses like in the denominator. And the last thing you're going to do is divide because of that fraction bar. So let's try it out. So in this problem, I would do 3 times 2 first. So 3 times 2 is going to be 6. Then I have 4 plus 6 on top. And on the bottom, I have 2 minus 3. 2 minus 3 is negative 1. And then a 5 there. And that's going to be multiplication. If we multiply 5 times negative 1, it's just negative 5. So I'm just going to go ahead and simplify that. And then we have 10 over negative 5, which is equal to negative 2. Okay, so we did it right. We got the same answer as the book. So just do the parentheses first, and then you do order of operations. You know all order of operations already. But just to make sure you know what, we're going to do some problems. I was in a SpongeBob mood because you know what? I just love him sometimes. He's so happy. He's always happy about going to work. It's so inspiring. I love it. I love it. Maybe I should get a job at the Krabby Patty, huh? Yeah. Actually, I like going to work sometimes. My work is great. All right, so let's do some problems and figure these things out. Example 12.1 says to simplify this problem. Woo! So what are we going to do first? The first thing that we are going to do is parentheses. So let's simplify within the parentheses. I'm going to do this problem and I'm going to write it underneath. And this is kind of how I want you to do your homework, so don't get mad. This is how math teachers want it. Okay, and then 6 minus 3, I'm going to simplify that, is going to be 3. Okay, so I simplified within the parentheses first. The next thing I'm going to do, I have two choices, right? So I can multiply, or I can subtract. I'm going to multiply first because that comes first. All right, so let's multiply this 4 times 5. So I get 20 minus 15 equals 5. Bam, we did it. And the last thing we did was just add it together algebraically. Let's do the next example. We're working so hard, just like SpongeBob is working on that. That's how I feel when I work out sometimes. Like I have really light weights and I'm like, this is hard. But you know, you got to start somewhere with your muscles, right? Example 12.2. Let's do this one. First thing we are going to do is inside the parentheses. So this one's a little tricky because there are a couple things to do inside the parentheses, but there's only options of subtraction and addition. So in that case, I can just go left to right and do it in that order. So I'm going to bring everything else down, the -3. I'm going to bring the parentheses down and figure out what is inside those parentheses. So it's 2 minus 3, which is -1, -1 plus 5, and that's going to be 4, right? 4, yes. Okay, so let's just write a 4. I left myself a little too much room, so let's bring this whole thing over. And then I'm just going to bring down the other stuff, -6, and I'm going to simplify within here. 4 plus 2 is 6, minus 3. Now I'm going to take a step back from this problem and look at the whole thing. I've got some subtraction or algebraic addition, whatever. I have some multiplication. We got to do that multiplication first. That's the next thing that we do. So let's multiply. So we're going to do -3 times 4. So that's going to be -12 minus, what's the next thing? Multiply. 6 times 6, 36 minus 3. Now all I have left is subtraction or algebraic addition. The reason I say algebraic addition is because they want you to kind of think about it as if you're doing this. Plus a -36, and then, well, yeah, I can do that. And then plus a -3. So we're adding all those negative numbers together. And then when you add all those negative numbers together, you're basically adding 12 plus 36 plus 3, which is 51, but it's all negative. It's all to the left of 0 on the number line. So I can do that. Bam. Easy, right? What about this one? Look at SpongeBob. Sometimes I'm SpongeBob in these. Like, sometimes I feel like I'm giving you these lessons and I'm like trying to make it so happy and throw flower petals at you and you're like this. But then sometimes I feel like I'm Squidward, like in life. And some people are trying to do this to me and it's just annoying, right? Sometimes we're both. We have a little bit of SpongeBob and a little bit of Squidward inside of us all the time, right? Let's do this example. All right. So I'm going to take a step back and look at it from a bird's eye view. The first thing I'm going to do, it looks horrible. It looks horrible, but it's not that bad because all we have to do is do the parentheses first and then let's see how it looks like. I'm just going to bring everything else down. All right, so -3 minus 3, that's going to simplify to -6 because it's basically a -3 plus a -3, okay? And then I'm going to simplify this. -2 plus a -4 is -6 again, okay? Then I'm just bringing down this subtraction sign, and then I'm going to simplify what's in there. -3 minus 2. So -3 plus a -2 is -5. See how it's easier to think about it in terms of addition? And then I'm just going to, like, I'm tempted to do that all in one go, but I'm not. I'm just going to bring down that 3 and simplify the parentheses. 4 minus 2 is 2. Bam. Easy. All right. Now I can see that I have, let's see, I have like 3 terms. Like this is a term, and this is one, and this is one. Remember how we were doing those types of problems before? So let's start with the first one. Let's simplify that. -2 times -6, that takes you to +12. 12 times 6 is 72, but that's a negative, so it's going to be -72 right there. Okay, Now I'm just going to bring down that subtraction sign. And, oh, actually, I can simplify because, look, there are two negatives. I can make that plus 5. Okay? And then, do you see how I did that? Because it's minus a negative 5, so it's the same as plus 5. Now I'm going to simplify this one. 3 times 2 is 6. Can you believe this crazy long problem just simplified to this? That's cool. Okay, so I can simplify it even further because sometimes in my head I like to do the positives and the negatives. So it's kind of like negative 72 plus 11. So negative 72 plus 11, the difference between 72 and 11 is going to be 61, and it's going to be negative because it's to the left of the number line. I'm kind of thinking that in my head. This is way to the left of the number line on 0, way to the left of 0, and then I'm adding 11 to it, so I'm getting closer to 0, but I'm still way far away. I'm at negative 61. That's kind of how I thought about it in my head. Let's do example 12.4. Whew, oh my, oh my. If someone saw this on an ACT test, they would skip it, but you would not skip it. You would be like, I could do this in my underwear. Oh yeah, easy, no problem. Let's start with the numerator. The first thing that we're going to do is simplify inside the parentheses. So I'm just going to, everything else, I'm just going to bring it on down and not even think about it. Let's bring down that 5. Bring down this parentheses. What would it be? Negative 5 plus 3? That's going to be a negative 2. Oh, yeah. And then I'm just bringing stuff down. Everything else that I'm not going to touch, I'm bringing it down. Okay, what goes in the next parentheses? Negative 5 plus 9. That's the same as 9 minus 5, right? So that's going to be a positive 4. Okay. And then I'm just bringing this on down because I'm not doing anything to it for now. Then I'm going to bring down that line, that big old line. Let's look at the denominator because we're going to do that separately. 4 minus 2, that simplifies to 2. Come on, 4 minus 2, that's like, we're not in preschool. Come on, give us something hard. 2 plus 3 plus 5. Okay, I'm just bringing it down right now. Now, next step. You got to do this in steps. If you try and do too much at once, won't happen in your brain. So let's simplify this further. This is one term. This is another term. This is the third term. Let's start with the first one. 5 and a negative 2. If we multiply that together, it's going to be negative 10. Okay, the next term. 7 times 4. 7 times 4 is an easy math problem. It's 28. Now, can I simplify the numerator more? Yeah. I'm going to start with 28 because that's the biggest positive number. I'm going to do 28 minus 10 in my head. 28 minus 10 is 18. Now I'm going to add 2, and I know I end up with 20 on the top. So I'm going to erase this, and I'm going to put 20. What about the bottom? I have 2 plus 3, which is 5, plus another 5, which is 10. So basically, this whole thing becomes 20 over 10. We can simplify that very easily, right? 20 divided by 10 is 2. Man, that is crazy that whole big long thing simplified just to the number 2. Guess what? One more example and we are done, Addy. So easy today. Let's do the next example. Again, this looks complicated. It looks even more complicated because there's a lot of things that we're going to have to simplify, and we could make a mistake, but we're not going to make a mistake. First thing we're going to do is work inside the parentheses, and I'm just going to do it all in one go. 4 minus 2. We can simplify that. Let's just make that a 2. I don't like this. This is subtraction. We don't believe in subtraction. We believe in algebraic addition. So let's make it addition. If we change the sign from subtraction to addition, then we also have to change that sign, which makes it a positive 5. So we're just going to simplify this whole thing to plus 5. Man, easy. What can we do on the bottom? I mean, it kind of looks like there's parentheses, but these just mean that you multiply first. And we do multiply before we do subtraction or algebraic addition. So let's multiply this first, okay? So 3 times negative 3, we can simplify that to negative 9. Now we have another situation where we have algebraic addition. We can change it to algebraic addition. So we change this to a positive, and then we change that sign to a positive. And so that whole thing can simplify to 4 plus 9. Okay, now what do we have left on the top? We have to do this multiplication problem. So negative 3 times 2 is going to be negative 6. So negative 6 plus 5. And on the bottom, we have 9 plus 4, which is 13. So what is negative 6 plus 5? That's easy. We can simplify that to negative 1. And this is the answer. It's basically negative 1 over 13. So we're going to leave it in a fraction form because that doesn't divide evenly. Okay, we did it, Addy. We did it. Okay, guess what? I'm head out. I'm going to go to bed. All right, love you, Addy. Tell me if you have any questions on this. Text me, okay? Have a great day. Bye.